Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept the humble obeisances. All glories to the God Krishna Prabhupada. All glories to the assembled Vaishnavi devotees. Today is Monday, beginning of a new week, and today is the half part of the month. Today is 15th of September. And if you checked the flyer or the poster, you might have noted that His Holiness Kavichandra Swami Maharaj is the speaker today. Maharaj is not here yet. So, as usual, His Grace Salika Prabhu has volunteered to step in to begin speaking while waiting for His Holiness. So we're going to put the verse on the screen and then we may begin. Thank you as usual for being here, and so nice to see you all. Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritam Narayashaivam Naruttamam Devi Saraswati Vyasam Tatujaya Mudirayet Nasta Apraishu Abhadrishu Nityam Bhagavatam Sevaya Bhagavati Uttaman Sloke Bhavati Naisike. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayan. Unto Narayan, Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being. Unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning. And unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, by regular attendance in classes on the Srimad Bhagavatam, and by rendering of service to the pure devotees. All that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised by transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. So welcome to Srimad Bhagavatam, discussed for the 15th day of the month of September 2025. So we're reading from 3rd Canto, chapter 12. We're reading the selected verses from 34 verse to text number 39. In our regular reading mode, we'll read only one text, but we anticipated Maharaj was going to be speaking, so we have these selected verses. So we'll try, by the mercy of the spiritual master, mercy of the spiritual master, to render this service on behalf of the acharyas. Kadashidhyayata sastu Veda asam shatu mukhat Gatam sraksyamya anlokam Samavetam yata pura Kadashidhyayata sastu Veda asam shatu mukhat Gatam sraksyamya anlokam Samavetam yata pura. Translation. Once upon a time, when Brahma was thinking of how to create the worlds as in the past millennium, the 4 Vedas, which contains all varieties of knowledge, became manifested from his four mouths, purported by his divine grace, the Prabhupada. As a fire can consume anything and everything without being contaminated, so by the grace of the Lord, the fire of Brahma's greatness consumed his desire for the sinful act of sex with his daughter. The Vedas are the source of all knowledge, and they were first revealed to Brahma by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, while Brahma was thinking of recreating the material world. Brahma is powerful by dint of his devotion and service unto the Lord. And the Lord is always ready to forgive his devotee if by chance he falls down from the noble path of devotion and service. The Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, chapter 5, text number 42 confirms this as follows. Swapadamalam bhajatam priyasya twayam bhavasya hari para paresaham vil karmasya chapatitam katam ashidi dunote sarvam vidisani vishto. Any person who is engaged 100% in the transcendental loving service of the Lord at his lotus feet is very dear to the personality of Godhead, Ari. And the Lord, being situated in the heart of the devotee, excuses all kinds of sins committed by chance. It was never expected that a great personality like Brahma would never think of sex indulgence with his daughter. The example shown by Brahma only suggests that the power of material nature is so strong that it can act upon everyone. Even Brahma was served by the mercy of the Lord with a little punishment. But by the grace of the Lord, he did not lose his prestige as the great Brahma. Text number 35 says, Shatohotram karama atantram upaveda naya saha dharmasya pada ashatvaras tatai vasram vrittaya. Translation. The four kinds of paraphernalia for conducting the fire sacrifice became manifest. The performer, that is the chanter, the offerer, the fire, and the action performed in terms of the supplementary Vedas. Also, the four principles of religiosity, truth, austerity, mercy, and cleanliness, and the duties in the four social orders all became manifest. The Prabhupada's purport states, eating, sleeping, defending, and mating are the four principles of material bodily demands, which are common to both the animals and human society. To distinguish human society from the animals, there is the performance of religious activities in terms of the social statuses and orders of life. They are all clearly mentioned in the Vedic literatures and were manifested by Brahma when the four Vedas were generated from his four mouths. Thus, the duties of mankind in terms of the statutes and social orders were established to be observed by the civilized man. Those who traditionally follow these principles are called Aryans, or progressive human beings. And text number 36 says, Vidura uvachaha saivam viswasrijam isho vedadin mukato srija yat hirasrija devas tanme bruhi tapodana. And the translation goes thus. Vidura said, O great sage, whose only wealth is penance, kindly explain to me how and with whose help Brahma established the Vedic knowledge which emanated from his mouth. Text number 37 says, Matreya uvacha regyajo samat avakyam vedam purvadibi mukhahe sastram kyam sutistumam prayasitam vyadat karmat. Translation. Maitreya said, beginning from the front face of Brahma, gradually the four Vedas, Rig, Yajna, Sama, and Atharva, became manifest. Thereafter, Vedic hymns which had not been pronounced before, priestly rituals, the subject matters of the recitation, and transcendental activities were all established, one after another. Text number 38. Ayurveda Dhanum Vedam Gandhavam Vedam Atmanam Staptayam Sasrijad Vedam Kramat Provadip Imukhe. He also created the medical science, military arts, musical arts, and architectural science, all from the Vedas. They all emanated one after another, beginning from the front face. And Srila Prabhupada's purpose says, the Vedas contain perfect knowledge, which includes all kinds of knowledge necessary for the human society, not only on this particular planet, but on other planets as well. It is understood that military art is also necessary. Knowledge for the upkeep of social order, as is the art of music. All these groups of knowledge are called the Upapurana, or supplements of the Vedas. Spiritual knowledge is the main topic of the Vedas. But to help the human beings, spiritual pursuit of knowledge, the other information as above mentioned, forms necessary branches of the Vedic knowledge. And text number 39 says, Ityasas Puranani Panchamam Veda Ishvara Sarvebhya Eva Viktrebhya Sasrije Sarvatasana. Then he created the fifth Veda, the Puranas and the histories from all his mouths, since he could see all the past, present, and the future. To the purpose. There are histories of particular countries and nations and of the world, but the Puranas are histories of the universe. Not only in 1 millennium, but in many kalpas. Brahma has knowledge of those historical facts, and therefore all the Puranas are histories. As originally composed by Brahma, they are part of the Vedas and are called the fifth Veda. Magyanam Timirandasya Gyanam Gyanam Chala Akaya Shaksho Umilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Nama Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Kadamayam Dadati Swam Padantikam Bandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Pada Kamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavancha Shri Rupam Sagrajatan Saganam Raghunatantam Saajivam Sadvitam Savadvitam Parijanam Saita Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Saganam Lalita Sri Vishaka Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagapati Gopisha Gopika Kantara Kanta Namaustute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangira Devinda Veneshwari Brishtabhanu Shute Devi Pranamami Naripriye Mukang karoti bacalam pangam lagaya te girim. Ya kripatam bande shri guru dinatarina. Vancha karpataru bescha kripa sundu biasi vaschaha. Patitanam pavash nabivash nabiv namo nama. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shrivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So the first verse says, Kadasin dia yatas too. Vedas asam satu mukat katam sikshyami aham lokam samavitam yatapura. Once upon a time when Brahma was thinking of how to create the worlds, as in the past millennium, the four Vedas, which contains all varieties of knowledge, became manifested from his four mouths. Hare Krishna. So we work to welcome all of the devotees to this most auspicious moment of life. There is nothing more auspicious than to hear and to speak Bhagavatam. So for those who are fortunate, who has been blessed by the double mercy of Guru and Krishna, this is the most ecstatic moment of life, because this is the real duty of human life. And that is what is glorified in this conversation that we'll be reading. In these verses of narration that has been described here by great sage Maitreya Muni, who is described in one of the verses as who is having only the wealth of austerity as his wealth. Before going further into the subject of today, once again, we offer our respectful obeisances unto all of the devotees who, by their mercy, we have the opportunity to render this wonderful service to the Vaishnava community. And when I was reading this text a few minutes ago, when it was obvious that we could not get across to Maharaj, I was remembering a verse from the Bhagavad Gita. In the Bhagavad Gita chapter 10, text number 20, Lord Krishna told Arjuna, and Prabhupada uses the same word in the beginning of the purport here, and that same purport of that verse. Lord Krishna told Arjuna, Aham Atma Buddha Kesha Sarva Bhutasya Sthitaha Aham Adyamcha Bhutanam Anta Eva Cha. Bhagavad Gita chapter 10, text number 20. Lord Krishna was telling Arjuna, I am the super soul. O Arjuna, I'm seated in the heart of all living entities. I'm the beginning, the middle, and the end of all beings. And Prabhupada, in the purport, he was saying, in this verse, Arjuna is addressed as Gudakesha, which means one who has conquered the darkness of sleep. For those who are sleeping in the darkness of ignorance, it is not possible to understand how the Supreme Personality of Godhead manifests himself in various ways in the material and spiritual world. Thus, this address by Krishna to Arjuna is significant. And in the second paragraph, Prabhupada was saying that Krishna first informed Arjuna that he is the soul of the entire cosmic manifestation. And Prabhupada went further to go into the explanations of how Krishna, thank you very much, Sarifu, in explaining himself to be the beginning, the middle, and the end of all that be. When we look at the storyline of this third canto, chapter 12 text we're reading, we read in the last 6 verses the very interesting drama of the most powerful person most devotional person on the in this universe, Lord Brahma, having fallen down to the activities of incest or desiring to sleep, to have his carnal knowledge of his own daughter. But then Srila Prabhupada was saying here in the purport that as a fire consumes anything and everything being contaminated, Lord Brahma, although was covered momentarily and desired to engage in the most abominable sinful activities, Prabhupada went further to say that Lord Brahma could not be consumed by these activities. Why? Because of the all glorious activities of bhakti. And that is the glorification of this first verse we're talking about. This first verse is talking about the glories of bhakti. When we look at actions, sometimes those who are on the path of karma yoga or jnana yoga or mystics or impersonalists, they're so much concerned. I saw my dear brother Sadev, he was condemning one rituals posted on one group earlier on today. Because these are the attraction of those who are wanting to remain in this material world, life after life. For those who are devotees of the Lord, for those who are finished with the business of this material world, they have no other business except bhakti to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And by such power of bhakti, even the most powerful, sinful act is consumed by that power of devotional service. When we read that purport, Prabhupada quoted very wonderful verse, 11th canto, 5th chapter, verse number 42 in that purport. Prabhupada says, any person who is engaged 100% in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, at his lotus feet is very dear to the personality of Godhead, Ari. And the Lord, being situated in the act of such a devotee, he excuses all kinds of sins committed by chance. This is the protection of bhakti on his devotee by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the material world, everybody wants to see, even though they do not have the eye, although they think that they can see something, but they are blind and they cannot see anything. And because they could not see, they're calculating with their already conditioned mind intelligence. They're wanting to calculate. They want to follow rules and regulations, but this is not the process of bhakti. Everybody wants to become detached from sense gratification and attached to austerity, but the devotee is not interested in all of this. He's simply interested in Krishna, and because of his bhakti, his activities are covered. Even if he momentarily, like Lord Brahma here, slips away, Krishna says that sinful activity cannot consume him. Just like fire consumes everything it comes in contact with, by the potency of power of bhakti, the sinful activities of a devotee is consumed. In the material world, we are trying to see things based on our tiny mind, intelligence, and ego. And Krishna already said to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 4, text number 17, Krishna told Arjuna, he said, Karmano hi api bodhya vyam chavika manam akamanas cha bodhyam vyam ga'anam karmano gati. The intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Therefore, one should know properly what action is, what forbidden action is, and what inaction is. The activities of Lord Brahma by those who are already in the conditional life is completely appalling. Yes, it's a simple activities, but no one can understand the activities in the life of a devotee. A devotee's activities cannot be measured because of his engagement in the process of devotional service. Because the essence of everything, when you look at the end of the purport of the verse, the end of everything is that what? that one should become a devotee. One won't become a devotee if he feels all the process. There was a very nice story in the Mahabharata. In the Mahabharata, there was a story of one great sannyasini, great sage by the name, there's a powerful Gautami. There is this powerful sage, Gautami, who lives in the forest, in the Mahabharata. This nice story was narrated of how one cannot calculate the activities, no matter how intelligent one is. Gautami was a powerful sage, female body, and she had only one son. And this only one son of Gautami, one day was going on the path in the forest for his normal daily activities. And as the son of Gautami was what we call in modern times single mother. She was alone with only his son to take care of him. And this only son of her was bitten by a snake. A sage was already helpless, old, fragile. Excuse me. But then the snake bit this boy, and the boy died immediately. And when a hunter was passing, he saw the scenario of what happened. The hunter's name was named Arjun, not the Arjun of Bhagavad Gita, but this hunter is by the name Arjuna. And in the mood of Arjuna, who never condones any abnormalities, Arjuna was so bitter. He said, how can this snake, where I am, kill the only son of a woman that has no other shelter but this boy? I'm going to punish this snake today. Wherever this snake enters, I will make sure I fish it out. I must punish this snake by any means. And he went ahead and he started by his own qualities and capabilities. After so much effort, he was able to capture this. And because he wanted to punish this snake, he did not just kill the snake. He made sure that he captured the snake because he was such a powerful hunter. And when Arjuna, the hunter, captured this snake, he took the snake and dragged it with the body of the dead boy to the mother. That, oh, Sannyasini, your son is beaten by this snake and is dead. And because he has caused such a grave sin, I wanted to make sure that I bring this snake alive to you before I punish it. And there is no other punishment for death than to kill death, to kill the killer. The punishment for the killer is to kill so that he can be free from this sin, gross sin of killing. Only son of a mother that has no other shelter, no husband, no any other person with him. So today I'm going to kill this snake right here in the presence. And Gautami listened carefully, attentively to Arjun, the hunter. And he told Arjun, he said, my dear Arjuna, the hunter, thank you very much. You're such a powerful hunter and very compassionate one indeed. But my dear hunter, I request of you, let this snake go. And the Arjun was so mad. He said, what do you say, man? I cannot allow this to happen. This is injustice. How can somebody kill and you ask me to let him? No, the punishment for death is death. And the Gautami said, my dear hunter Arjuna, let us assume that, yes, this snake has committed a grave sin, has killed my son, my only son. I have no other shelter. Now, the only thing left for me is to make a fire and then enter and extinguish my body. But I'm accepting my fate. Because why? Because if you kill this snake right now, this snake death will not bring back the life of my son. So what is the use of killing the snake? In any case, it will not solve my problem. And Arjuna, the hunter, said, oh, Mataj, I cannot allow this to happen. Yes, I know your son cannot be brought back to life, even if I kill this snake. But for the benefit of this snake and for justice to reign, I must make sure I kill this snake today. And as he was insisting, The argument went on for so long. He gave all the philosophies. This is a gross act. I'm a witness to it. I can see this snake has committed sin. Lord Brahma has fallen down. He has gone after his own daughter. He has committed a sin. And this devotee, he has already breaking principle. And when this argument becomes so heavy, the snake spoke out and said, my dear sir, Arjun, the hunter, since you are very bent on killing me, for punishing me, then you are making a mistake, because actually, I'm not the killer of your son, of this Gautami's son. I'm just an errand person. And nobody kill or punish a person who carries a message. I'm just a messenger. And no messenger should be killed for the message he came to deliver. And the hunter became bewildered. He said, what are you talking about? I saw you beat this boy to death. So how can you say you are not the one? He said, I'm just carrying out orders. He said, who is your commander? Who gave you this instruction? If that person is living in any part of this planet, I will make sure I punish him. Tell me who that person is. And as he was vehemently angered, making promises in this manner, right there, something happened. And the snake was asked, who sent you? He said, well, I was only a messenger of death. If you want to kill somebody, you have to kill me too. Death personified, because he's the one that sent me. This boy was supposed to be killed, and death sent me as a messenger to go and kill him. So if you want to punish somebody, go kill Miritu. He is the culprit. He's the one you have to kill, because he's the killer of this boy, not me. And because this hunter was not just an ordinary hunter, out of his anger, Miritu had to appear before him. And while the three of them were standing there, Miritu said, why are you so angry by the action that does not concern you, Mr. Hunter Arjun? And he was wondering, what do you mean by that? He said, yes, as Mr. Snake has told you, yes, I'm the killer of this boy. But I'm also a messenger. I didn't kill this boy, because my duty is to kill. And for me to kill, I need an excuse. I need somebody to carry out. My duty is to take the life of this boy. And so, therefore, I have engaged the snake to act on my behalf. But I'm also not the culprit. And the story became more interesting, and the hunter said, okay, now all of you are trying to escape. Okay, who sent you? If you are not the killer of the boy, you are death personified, and you are the one that killed the boy. Now you are trying to give excuses. Tell me who sent you. He said, if you want to know, please call time. Kala. It was time for this boy to die, and so time instigated me as death to kill him. So if you want to kill anybody, if you want to punish anyone, go to Kala. Tell him that he has made a mistake, and then you punish him for this death of this boy. And then while they were talking, Kala, time personified, appeared at the scene. And when Kala appeared, the hunter was very pleased. He said, now, Ma Gautami, I told you, I wouldn't allow the killer of your son to go scot-free. Now all of them have transferred excuses from themselves. And the culprits, each after the other, are claiming that, yes, they are the one that gave the message. So now that Miritu, who killed your son, has said he was sent by Kala, time, now time is going to die in my hand today. You will see my prowess today. I'm going to make sure I put an end to time. And as he was saying this, Kala opened his mouth and explained, oh, my dear Hunter Arjun, why are you so angered by someone's activities that has no business with you? Why are you interfering in things that has nothing to do with you? I'm not the killer of this boy. Yes, I engaged death to go and carry out, because it was time for this young boy to die. So I sent Miritu, and Miritu sent what? The snake. And Mr. Arjun, the hunter, became more interesting and said, oh, now you also want to give some excuse to somebody. Tell me, who sent you, Kala, time, to kill this boy. Why is it his time to die? And Kala said, oh, there was nobody who actually, other than the boy himself, because by his own past action, by his karma, he has created, he has given the time, he has given death, he has given the snake the power to take him at this time. So the real killer of this boy is his own karma, his own activities in his previous life. And when this was established to the Arjun hunter, he became humbled and immediately realizes that there was nobody to be killed because action was just carried out according to the act that has to do with the main boy himself. So in this way, Lord Brahma is engaged in activities, and then in our material consciousness, we are very quick to look at sin activities. But a real devotee of the Lord, he does not focus on all of this. He looks at the most important thing, and that is what brings out in this verse that we're reading. So Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing that because of the power of bhakti, although Brahma engaged in activities, a momentary fall down, but because of his engagement in bhakti, he was freed. So the morals of this story that we hear, Lord Brahma has to shed off his body. But then is what Prabhupada mentioned specifically in the purport, his prestige, his position was never affected. Because of what? Because of the power of bhakti. So the conversation goes further. And in the next verse, in the text number 35. So the conversation continues because the sin was not powerful enough to affect the duty of a devotee. Lord Brahma was able to continue his activities, and from his mouth, the four Vedas, from his four mouths, the four Vedas were manifested. In other words, when Krishna said in the Bhagavad Gita, those who are my devotees, even if they commit most abominable acts, and this is the clear manifestation of that. Lord Brahma's devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead was never impaired. Because of what? Even though he has committed something that is most gross, but because he was fully established in devotional service, by the potency of his devotional service, his devotional activities continued unhindered, and he was able to progress with his. So when this happens, so Lord Brahma and Vidura now ask Maitreya Muni, he said, my dear Maitreya, oh great sage, whose wealth is penance, can you explain to me how with whose help Brahma was able to establish, just to bring to our understanding, if Lord Brahma has committed these gross activities and is not able, he was not able to be overcome by this act of his fall down. So by whose power, by whose potency is able to do that? So Maitreya Muni explained that Lord Brahma, from the face of, from his four mouths, he was able to do what? Engage in the service that was empowered upon him, created the four Vedas, the Puranas, and all the scriptures. His activities in devotional service was never impaired. And the Prabhupada said in text number 38, in translation, very nicely, Lord Brahma also created the medical science, military art, musical art. Recently, I was present at a scene where there was an argument within some two clerics from the Western tradition, and they were arguing very, very strongly. God is the creator of evil. God is not the creator of evil. The scientists, modern day scientists, are so proud about so much core knowledge. But here, the Bhagavatam is telling us that both medical science, military arts, musical art, whatever knowledge that you can find. And this confirms the statement of Krishna. Aham sarva siya prabhava, mata sarva prabhatate, iti matva jantema, everything is emanating from me. So these two clerics, they were at each other's loggerhead. They were arguing like anything. No, this cannot be created by God. It is created by man. This one says, no, Satan is independent. He has his own power. He creates his own thing. Because they cannot understand how the supreme personality of God is the source of everything, and everything is emanating from him. What makes the difference, what we call the evil, is simply the use of what Krishna has manifested. And that is why Krishna says, Om Punam Ada Punam 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 Udasyate. Punam Punam Adasya Punam Ivasya Sisyate. Whatever is coming from the supreme perfect person is perfect. There's nothing wrong with it. Everything is perfect in creation of the supreme personality of God. There is nothing imperfect. Imperfection is seen only by the imperfect living entities in the material world. Whatever science, whatever knowledge that we can think of are all. The difference is how those are used by the minute living, infinitesimal living entity. How the living entity uses these energies or elements of creation by the supreme personality of God through the hands of Lord Brahma is what makes the difference. This is where the evil comes or goes away. So in text number 39, and Maitreya Muni continued to explain to Vidura that the 5th Vedas, the history of the whole world, are also spoken by Lord Brahma. So in other words, there is nothing that is outside of the Vedic understanding. So one who is a devotee of the supreme personality of God, and that is why it is said, a devotee takes only shelter of Krishna, because in Krishna, everything is manifested. There is nothing. When we say Krishna, God, or the supreme personality of God is the beginning, the middle, the end of everything, there is nothing else outside of him. And for those who realizes this, they engage in devotion and service to the supreme personality of God. Because they understand that what? Bhakti mama bijanti, even yes, chashmi tato. Tato tato togia twam. Vishati tad ananta. There is no other way, other means by which one can see this absolute personality of God in his completeness, with all of his opulences, all combined in one personality, except by the process of this bhakti, devotion and service. So therefore, from the first verse to the last verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Krishna, the supreme personality of God, and his devotional service to him is glorified. So therefore, if one is intelligent, one who is intelligent, he simply takes to this process of devotion and service. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu makes this process of devotional service most easiest from upon all of the ages in this age of Kali. Arainam eva kevalam. Kalau nasti, eva nasti. Kiti. Just chant the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. What could be more sweeter than this? The beginning, the middle, the end of everything in the process of bhakti centers around this. For guides, Srila Prabhupada has given us 4 regulative principles, but even one cannot practice that without the shelter of the holy name of the supreme personality of God. This holy name of the Lord is the key center of all process of bhakti. So if one wants to become a devotee, the beginning, the middle, the end of all process of devotional service is to focus on this holy name of the Lord. So those who are actually serious on the part of bhakti takes every day as an examination to improve upon the quality of their chanting the holy name of the Lord. Lord Brahma was meditating, as we saw in text number 34. Because he meditated, Lord Brahma has no other mode or any form of meditation than the supreme personality of God. And because he meditated on the supreme personality of God, all auspiciousness manifests. His ability to create and do all that is desired by the Lord of him was manifested, even when he has fallen down, supposedly, according to our understanding. So therefore, there is no other means. There's no other means. There's no other means except for this holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came only for this purpose. That in this age of Kali, Manda Manda Sumanta Manda Yo, these people that are born in this age, they are so fallen that they have no qualification for anything auspicious. So therefore, I shall give them one thing that they can do that will take them back to me easily. And what is that? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Ram, Hare Hare. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he taught all of this. He gave to his 6 Goswamis, and his message came down. And just yesterday, we're celebrating the golden opportunity that you and I had the opportunity. Because that message of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wouldn't have been available to you, me, and all of us on this platform, and all of those who are listening to us, except for the mercy of one personality. Stena Bhakta, His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Yesterday, we were celebrating the arrival of the deliverance of all of the 3 worlds. When we say, may your fame be glorified all over the 3 worlds, that manifestation happened on the day we were celebrating yesterday in Boston. And there has been so many wonderful stories being narrated. It was narrated, there is one video I was watching this morning. It was narrating how the day Prabhupada has arrived in Boston was the day that brought to the end of the war that will have begun the Third World War as at that time in 1965. And the world is still sustained today, despite all of the madness going on, because of the little chanting of the holy name that is going around all of that create 3 corners of the world. So they are devotees of the Lord. We may not have the power for many things, but the greatest of the power is in our hands. Let us take shelter of this holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One who chants this holy name of the Lord consciously. The scripture says the kingdom of God is already at his beckon. It may be the grossest of the grossest sinful person. It may be the grossest of the foolish person in this existence. It may even become a scholar. It may become anything. Whatever anyone wants to become, just take shelter of this holy name of the Lord. Let us meditate like Brahma did. And when Brahma meditated, miracle happened. His sinful activities cannot come nearby his service to the Supreme Personality of God. And because Lord Brahma was not able to be affected by all of this, he was able to become a success in his pursuit of going back home, back to Godhead. And that is our inheritance. If we also meditate, take shelter of the holy name of the Lord, and forget about the details of activities, and just focus on only one thing. In this age of Kali, just like Sukadev Goswami told Maharaj Parishit, Kala dosha nide rajan astiye ko mahaguna kitnat eva kishnasya mukta sangha param prajet. That in this age of Kali, as full with many faults as it is, there's only one saving grace. Krishna Nam. Chanting of the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that is the whole of Bhakti. Every other details of Bhakti is hanging on this one powerful tool of devotion and service. Unless one perfects his holy name, chanting, one may engage in all rituals, one may engage in all ceremonies, one may engage in all activities. If one does not take shelter of the meditation on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by the process of this chanting of the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Failure is guaranteed unless one chants this holy name, because that is the only key to success in the process of devotional service. Hare Krishna. So I'll stop here, and if there are questions or comments or corrections, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Salika Prabhu, as always, rendering this all-important service. Quickly stepping in to speak Bhagavatam. So dear devotees, if anyone may have questions, comments, reflections, realizations you may want to ask, share, please indicate by using the hand emoji or a physical hand, and you'll be asked to unmute to ask your question or share your reflections. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Well, Prabhuji, I have one question. That is, this particular pastime, Lord Brahma and his daughter back, and the reaction the Supreme Lord actually demonstrated. My question is, what do we learn from this pastime? And secondly, how do we apply it? Now, there are some people, there are some devotees, I should say, who, especially when they are in the position of leadership, anytime a devotee makes the slightest mistake, they pounce on him. I do not think that is right. At the same time, there could also be a situation where the devotee in position, out of affection or whatever, a particular devotee may be acting so much nonsense, and yet they will become so compassionate. I don't know whether it's compassion, but they will tolerate this person up to the point that they won't say anything. The person can go on doing all sort of nonsense. So I'm trying to figure out where is the middle. Do you become so harsh to punishing the slightest mistake a devotee commits, or you become so much empathetic that no matter what nonsense a devotee does, you still let it go? What do we do, and how do we do it? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Very beautiful question. And actually, I love this question because actually focuses on the essence of what we would of this conversation. To answer this question, we take shelter of very beautiful verse in the Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna told Arjuna in chapter 18 of Bhagavad Gita, text number 58, Machita sarva durgani matrasada tarisyasi atashitwam ankaram nasusyasi vinasyasi. If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all obstacles of conditional life by my grace. If, however, you do not walk in such consciousness, but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost. That is one verse. The second one is Bhagavad Gita chapter 3, text number 21. Prakrite kriya manani gunai kamas avasya ankaravi mudatma kata am iti man yate. Bhagavad Gita chapter 3, text number 21. When the living entity takes the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then he is bound to fail in his judgment. And that is why in the course of the lecture, I was quoting that verse 417. The intricacies of actions and inactions and what is action are very difficult to understand. It is not in the purview, it's not in the control of the living entity to be able to understand. So therefore, one should constantly be in consciousness of Krishna. And that is what the Papa gave in that purport of the 1858. One has to constantly. And how does Krishna does that? Tesham saktakta yuktanam bhajatam priti pruvakam. The dami buddhi yogam tam jen mamu payanti te. Krishna says that to those devotees who are constantly desirous, their only desire is to serve me. They are not looking at, they are not carried away by the position. They're not carried away because they think they are devotees. They're not thinking that they know. They're not thinking because, yes, I've caught a culprit like Arjun the hunter. They are focusing on what is Krishna's interest in this matter. Krishna says, I come to their rescue. I give them the understanding how they manage at that time. And how does it do that? In the text that follows it, Tesham evanu kampa atam aham agyanam jantama. Nasayami atma bhavastu gyana deepina baswata. Krishna says the darkness, the ignorance of knowing and not knowing is seated, is hidden in the core of the earth, covered by the ignorance. He said, I will destroy that ignorance with the shining light of knowledge. In the Bible story, we hear the story of someone, one great king, King Solomon. And in the very scriptures, we see there is a very wonderful story of one. There is a story of another story in the Bhagavatam. I'm trying to remember that story, Kadru. And actually, that what led to the story of Janamijaya. The activities of what happens cannot be understood by anyone who is conditioned. Unless one becomes, yesterday we were discussing fourth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and we're discussing the activities of the great Daksha and how he became a beneficiary of a goat head, and how Lord Shiva was seen before Sati takes that journey to death. Sati was so passionate. She was the daughter, she was the wife of a great personality, like who? Like Lord Shiva, who is what? Trikalagyan. Lord Shiva knows the past, present, and future. So Lord Shiva was consistently telling Sati, my dear daughter, my dear wife, don't go to your father's Yagya ceremony. I can see what is going to happen. But he was not listening. Why? Because it was covered by false ego, by the external consideration. So in the situation, because we are conditioned, the moment one takes the position of understanding that I'm not the all-knower, when something happens first, the first thing to do is to do what? Is to think that, oh, Krishna, what is to be done in this situation? And that is what Krishna is telling you, that one who is in consciousness of me, I will destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the ignorance that is in the region of the earth. Krishna will give the inspiration. And one will be wondered, how did this person came to give this kind of a solution to this matter? Because why? That person is not acting alone. Krishna said, Arjuna, because you are not acting on your own, you are already a victor. So the question you ask is that, how do we decide? The most of the challenges is that oftentimes we want to analyze what happened, and that is where we get caught up in the covering of ignorance. The best approach to know is to take shelter of the Krishna's guidance. And Krishna has promised, he said, I'm seated in the region of your heart. I know everything. And if you listen to that inner voice of Krishna, guided externally by the spiritual master, it is nothing difficult. A devotee knows what to do and what is not to do. In the purport of that verse I first quoted, Machita Sarva Durgani, Prabhupada mentioned in the purport, he said only a devotee of the Lord is free to act, because what? His actions are based on Krishna consciousness. And that is what is analyzed in the story of Gautami. Gautami was bereaved. Her son was killed, and she was not looking at the son. She was not looking at the snake, the culprit. He was not looking at the victim. He was looking, thinking inwardly. What will be? What will Krishna? Why will this happen? And because he was thinking inwardly, he got the inspiration. So Krishna is physically always present with us. We cannot see him, and he is seated in our heart as Paramatma is guiding us. But most often times, because we are covered with the three modes of material nature and ignorance of Amma Meiti, as Krishna told us, Prakriti Kriya Manani, thinking we are said to be the controller, that is where the problem happens. The moment something happens and we start thinking, oh, must not happen, this is what the law says, this is what the rule says, then we fall into. Before thinking about rules and regulations, one should take shelter of the Supreme Personality of God within and ask for guidance on what to do. And Krishna gives the guide. That is not to say that one should allow a culprit to go scot-free and unpunished, then create a misgiving standard. Because if one takes shelter of Krishna, Krishna will give. The result will be a perfect situation. Most often times, it is because the inner voice of Krishna is not listened to. So we make judgment and decision based on our gyan, based on our mind, based on our senses. Then we make the wrong decisions. Then the result becomes fatal to everybody. So how do we know what to do? Irrespective of what knowledge that we have acquired, irrespective of experience that we have gathered, knowing fully well that intricate of action in action are beyond our understanding. If we think deeply, okay, according to law, this is what is supposed to be done. Just like in the case of Arjun the hunter. Arjun the hunter was not wrong by saying the punishment for murder is killing. It wasn't wrong. According to law, that is the standard. That is the Vedic script, the standard of scripture. But what it does not know is that there is something behind. So therefore, rules, regulations are perfect. I was sharing in, was it on Saturday, in a Bhakti Vaibhava class, narrating some story that happened about 30 years, that was 1992. That was about 33 years ago. A devotee went on Sankirtan. And in those early days, we were so paka devotees. And I'm wondering why we all have not gone back to God, because you cannot become a pure devotee and remain in this material world. We are so pure devotee that we're so attached to rules and regulations that this devotee went on Sankirtan at the airport. In those early days, we go to the airport, we wear pajama and pant. We wear kota and pant, not with dhoti, to go and sell books, Srila Prabhupada's book at the airport. And this devotee went, and he came back late in the night, around 9 o'clock, after 9 in the evening. In those days, you dare not move around in the temple when it is 9 o'clock. You are in trouble. And this devotee came a little bit after 9. So even the devotee that was in charge of the kitchen has gone to bed. And this devotee came back. He was so hungry because he has gone since morning and came after 9 p.m. in the night. And he had to take prasadam. And prasadam for him was in the kitchen, because you cannot even keep food anywhere. Like in today's temples, you see every corner of the ashram, some prasadam is hanging in one corner. Prasadam has to be taken only at the designated places. So this devotee, he was so hungry and he committed a mistake. He went with the pajama quota and the pint into the deity kitchen to carry his prasadam out. That was only his offense. He did not go and take bath, tie dhoti, put tilak to go into the kitchen to carry his prasadam. Because he was so hungry, he went into the kitchen to carry his prasadam that has been kept on the table on the kitchen for him with quota and trouser. Today, we see in our deity kitchens, someone is wearing trousers, jeans, but he was wearing approved standard quota and pants of devotee style. And he went only to carry prasadam, and he was sent away, indefinite suspension. And that devotee never came back to the devotee community till tomorrow. I don't want to mention his name. If I mention his name, some of the devotees here might know him. This was a boy that was brought to the temple when he was barely 3 years old. He grew up in the temple. And as at that time I'm talking, he was This boy was around his late teens, maybe it's 18, 19 or something like that. And that's how he was suspended indefinitely by the temple president, because the temple president came to ease himself and he spotted him coming out of the dirty kitchen with prasadam in his hand with quota and pint. And that's how he was sent away. I ask you, Sir Adepo, is this a just devotional decision? And the person who takes the decision is still in devotional service today. He's a very senior devotee. In fact, he's a sannyasi. In fact, he's even a guru. But he has sent somebody away. It is that person's karma. I won't be the one to say who is right, who is wrong. So you're asking, so how do we decide when to punish, when not to punish, how to measure? One should take shelter, but in my own consciousness, I don't think that was the right thing to do. Because that was the capital punishment for a minor offense. That devotee is not in devotional service till today, tomorrow. I won't mention his name. So, summary to your answer to your question. We listen to the inner voice, be in Krishna conscious always. Only then we can understand what is to be done and what is not to be done. Otherwise, even the most perfect decision based on the scriptures will put us into a big mess that we'll find ourselves in hell when we die, and we'll be asking, how did I find myself here after staying in devotional service for 50 years? Because of misapplication and misappropriation of the philosophy. I hope it helps you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for the elaborate, detailed answer to my question. It's so beautiful. It's so sad. For some reason, the past 2 days in the last week, this topic came up when His Grace Ishara Prabhu spoke. And Ishara Prabhu, of course, he spoke so beautifully. And he was also emphasizing this, that we should not become too heavy on minor mistakes. It could be us. It could be us. So, like you said, I also do not think that helping someone fulfill his karma, especially if it's a negative karma, you are in any way doing something good. No, that is what differentiates devotees from non-devotees. That is, devotees understand that whatever suffering someone is going through is as a result of his or her own karma. But yet, the devotees want to ease this particular person's sinful reactions. So to make someone's bad karma manifest, and you call yourself a devotee, I don't think it's appropriate. So thank you for the response. And I'm sinful, but I can only pray that somehow Guru and Krishna help this particular individual to take up Krishna consciousness again in this lifetime. Of course, we know that whatever is done is never in vain, is never lost. But we pray that he can revive his Krishna consciousness in this particular lifetime. We go to Madhavan Prabhu. Please, you may unmute, Madhavan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu. Thank you very, very much for this very powerful lecture that you gave us today. Krishna will continue to strengthen and empower you spiritually. Thank you, Prabhu. So, just to buttress your point, especially when you said that the implications of action and inaction is beyond our actual understanding. You know? And the lesson we learn from the Brahma in the case of having sexual desire towards his daughter. I believe that if you look at the time the thing happened, it should be in the Satya Yoga, in the beginning, so to say. So I believe that Krishna is just trying to emphasize the point which is said in Bhagavad Gita 7:14. You know, when Krishna said that, Mama Maya Drataya, Mama Kam, Kapadyante, Mama Maya, Tarantite. That's a practical demonstration of what Krishna was telling the living entity. You know, Lord Brahma is the greatest personality, there's no doubt about that. But he could fall. So it's Krishna's arrangement. So when Prabhu SALIKA also said that we should always fix our mind on Krishna, I also agree with him. It's a very good point. So we should always see Krishna in all activities. So what happened to Lord Brahma is just the handiwork of Krishna himself to show his supremacy and also to be a lesson to all living entities in this material world that nobody is more powerful than Maya. Maya is an energy of the Supreme Lord. So to defeat Maya means you defeat Krishna, which is not possible. So it's a lesson for all of us. We should never think, oh, we are advanced now, so we cannot fall. So we should just remain humble and take shelter on the Krishna. Then the another point I want to chip in, we should not be following rules and regulations too much. Even in the ordinary court of law, if there's an offender, they will ask, if this is the first time, they say first offender, they will pardon you. They say it's the first offender. They used to do that in the court. They say he has never done that before. So there's some pardon or some leniency. We are not Krishna. Even in some situations, Krishna puts some consideration. And especially a devotee, there are some devotees, even though due to their background, they act rascally, very rascally. But some of them, they are very eager to render service, devotional service. So we should look at the service they are rendering, and we believe that with proper guidance, they will improve. They will be able to transcend their mundane religious activities, because devotional service itself is to purify the living entity, and nobody is perfect among us, so nobody can make any perfect judgment, judging somebody, condemning somebody. Jesus said that we should judge not, and we should not be judged, and we should condemn not, and we shall not be condemned. So, Hare Krishna, that's the little I want to keep in.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. When one becomes humble by realizing that the greatest challenge of a conditioned soul is that he thinks he knows, he is the doer of activities. Yes, we study the scriptures, and the scriptures gives rules and regulations which are to be followed, and they should be followed. But we should follow it with the understanding that Krishna is the supreme controller of everything, and we only know as much as we can see. We cannot even see what is going on in the back of our head. So with the mind of that understanding that of our minute conditioned self supposition, we should approach even the lost in that manner, and then we'll be saved. Otherwise, we'll think we're doing service, but we'll be carving the path to go into hell in the name of doing service because we cause so much damage beyond our own imagination. And we're wondering what happened to us. What we're doing devotional service. I never broke principles. But there's another story of Vinata and Kadru. It's a very long story, but I'll share that some other time. The thing, Mahabharata is full of such elaborate stories where, and then you see how they connect. Even Marat Pariksit being cursed by the snake, and it's a whole connection. It's an interesting story. So there are so many, we don't know much. And if we take this humility that, yes, and that's why they say beginning of spiritual life is humility, because if you understand our limited conditional position, it becomes easy for us to navigate the challenges of life. Challenges of life will definitely come. And we should not be complacent, because yes, we are not going to be, but not being complacent at the same time, but always taking shelter. And the key is what your Papa said, and what Krishna told Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, that always conscious of me. If we are constantly conscious of Krishna, Krishna will, within the region of life, he will help us, guide us how to act in any situation.
Okay. Hare Krishna, thank you. Anyone else with something to ask or to share, please? Well, Salika Prabhu, one quick thing about few things Madhavan Prabhu just mentioned. Very interesting points he made. He was also saying that we should try to see Krishna in everything that happens. And as devotees, that is what we try to do. And oftentimes we hear devotees speak like that. See Krishna's hand in everything. Yes, we see Krishna's hand in everything, but does that mean that whatever happens because Krishna's hand in it is good? No, I don't think so. There is no even a blade of grass that moves without Krishna's sanction. We've been talking this from time to time. And so if we say that there is Krishna's hand in it, then we should accept whatever happens, that this is Krishna's plan. But I don't think that is how it is. So if a devotee is acting improperly, and we say improperly because of what Srila Prabhupada is giving us, then we should find a way to correct that individual. We should do the correction with our hearts, not with our minds, with our heads. And so like the example you gave, we just gave what we know from the scriptures without the heart in treating this particular devotee. And we lost him. We've all heard how oftentimes Srila Prabhupada will lament when he loses a devotee. He laments because he feels that he was incapable of saving this devotee. But most oftentimes we do not feel like that. We feel that, okay, this person left. That is his karma because he was offending me. This is the problem we have. So I don't know. I mean, I'm saying this, of course, to myself, because I remember there was a time I complained very bitterly about my temple authorities to my guru. And my guru said, okay, I hear you, Sahadev. I'm not going to push you to do what I wanted you to do. But remember the complaints you were leveling against your authority. In the future, when you become an authority, you do not do the same thing to anybody else. That is what Gurudev told me. And I remember very well. So, of course, I'm nobody, but I still keep that at the back of my mind that I do not have to do things to make people lose the taste of devotional service, because it happened to me some time ago. And thank Guru and Krishna, I still stayed in the movement. But it's a serious issue we all have to consider to work on it. And that's why I asked, we may know that, okay, this is what we do, but how do we do it? Oftentimes becomes the problem. So again, I can't thank Salika Prabhu enough for one, speaking, and even most importantly, their responses to these questions. So thank you so much. Anyone else with something to ask or to share? Or Salika Prabhu, do you have something to say about what I just said?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Hare Krishna Prabhu, please can you?
Oh, I think Harichakra Prabhu sent this up. Harichakra Prabhu, you may unmute.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Dandava Pranam. Salika Prabhu. All glories to you. All glories to Gurudev and all glories to Prabhupada. And all glories to the assembled devotees. This issue that is being discussed about Lord Brahma's mistake that he made, and how some devotees also sometimes make some mistake and we take very harsh decisions. Does it depend on the gravity of the mistake that has been done, or it doesn't really matter? That is what I want to know. And a perfect example is when at a certain point in time, one devotee in Lagos was trying to usurp take the temple from ISKCON and take over everything, to the extent that he even grabbed the vehicles of the movement. So do we just have to just look on without taking no action? Like a devotee, one devotee tried to grab like a property of the association. Example that we have, one devotee is grabbing the land, a whole land of the association. Do we have to just look on and just say, oh, it's okay, maybe we have to be compassionate to this devotee? So what do we do?
I'll share a pastime for you, to you, Hare Krishna Prabhu. In 2000, when Gurudev came to West Africa, we're having his Vyasa Puj. One Mataji, who went on Arena, and you know, every one of us know that Gurudev used to carry this Nisima Dev stick as a staff. So we're going out, we went out, actually we have gone on Ratayatra, we went with Jagannath out, and we're coming back. Everybody was joyous, we were dancing. And this Pataji started dancing very, very sensuously, very inappropriate. And Gurudev was far out on the, actually that day, I think it was on the cart. So he could not bear it. So Gurudev came down. And with that much of anger, he carried the stick and hit this Mataji so hard that the stick, you know how thick that is, the stick broke into two. That just to show you the force in which he used to beat the Mataji, just because of inappropriate dancing in the public. Shota Aridas was punished by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because of illicit same sex. Because he didn't even commit, he was looking inappropriately. So then the question, as you ask, is should we just wait and then say because no? And that is why we say that in our home, we have no ability, we have no capacity to be able to judge what is to be done, what is not to be done. When anything happens, those who are pure devotees, because they are constantly in connection with Krishna, they get immediate inspiration what to do at that moment. And whatever they do will become a success, will become a success story. So in each of these cases, you say that one should not get angry. But this is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, getting angry. He wants to kill Jagai and Madai. And this is a minor thing. The Guru could not tolerate. He has to beat a woman, not a man, a woman, until a very thick stick like that is staff had to break into two. And when he beat her like that, he left the garden. He left us and he went forward. He moved faster and they entered, going back into the temple. We were so angered. So the question is that, what should we act upon? How do we act upon them? That is what Krishna, that was why I started by referencing the scriptures. And Prabhupada said, when you look at that purport very carefully, Prabhupada said, only a devotee of the Lord, in the purport of 1580s, he said, one should, therefore, no one should be carried away by false ego of the bodily concept of life. One should not falsely think himself independent of the laws of material nature or free to act. He is already under strict material laws. But as soon as he acts in Krishna consciousness, he is liberated. 1858. That is what Krishna is saying. So, what to do at that moment, and that's why I quoted almost 4 verses in relation to this same thing. 4 verses. First is Bhagavad Gita 1858, where I'm reading purport of Srila Prabhupada, and then 321, Prakite Kriyama Anani, because that is what Prabhupada is saying, paraphrasing in this purport, that one should not think he is free to act. The conscious, most of the time, the thinking is that when we see situations, we are so carried away by the rules and regulations, by the laws that is guiding them. And when we concentrate, when we focus on the rules and the regulations, the law, we will make mistake because it is not in our capacity to know what is right or wrong. And that is why Krishna says, 4:17, intricacies of action and action is so difficult. You can't understand them. When you go back to the Lila of Brahma, why that happened, you can't understand it. It is something beyond. When you look at, and so when you look at 1858, 321, 4:17 of Bhagavad Gita, these are principles guiding us that we should not act independently. But then, how should we act? As Sahadev Prabhu asked, how should we then ask? Then 2 verses are given, 10:10 and 10:11. These are practical application. The 3 other verses are giving us theoretical solution. 1858 tells us we have to be in consciousness of Krishna. Why should we be in consciousness of Krishna? 321 tells us because we are conditioned. And then 4:17 tells us that because we are conditioned, we cannot understand. But then the solution is given in 10:10 and 10:11. Krishna said, practically, if you desire to please me in that circumstances, he said, I will give the understanding. I will do it. And he said, he didn't just stop there. He said, how do I do that? He said, I'm seated in the earth. And because I know that you are desirous to please me, I will give you the guidance. I will remove the darkness. I will remove the covering that is making you not to be able to see what is to be done and what is not to be done. Then you will be able to see that this is the right thing. And when you act in Krishna consciousness, back to 1858, Prabhupada said that no conditioned soul actually knows what is to be done and what is not to be done. But a person who acts in Krishna consciousness is free to act because everything is prompted by Krishna. Everything is prompted by Krishna from within, and it is confirmed by the spiritual master. So when you act in that capacity, in that consciousness of Krishna, as guided by Krishna, inspiration will come. Krishna is not far away like that. Krishna is not that so far out. He knows, he sees your heart, and if your heart is desirous to do the right thing, Krishna will come through. It does not matter whether you are a yesterday devotee or 20,000 years devotee. Krishna is not calculating on that. Krishna is looking at the heart of the devotees and is trying to see what is this devotee wanting to do. And that is why Prabhupada uses the word in that 10:10, sincerity of purpose. When our heart is sincerely seeking to do the will of Krishna, Krishna will come in Dhruva Maharaj was not a great personality. He was just a son of a king who has no education, no anything. But because a desire, he had that, oh, if I go to Krishna, Krishna only can do it. So he was looking for him. So when we look for Krishna in situations, only then we are able to get that inspiration, that voice of Krishna will come true, and we will act. And we even ourselves, we're wondering, how did I come to this conclusion? I wasn't thinking about it. It just came to me. Because why? We want to please Krishna in that situation. So the secret is that we must consciously wanting to please Krishna, and then Krishna will come true because he's there. He's not far out. He's seen everything, and he knows our intent. But when we act out of false ego, thinking that yes, I know the scriptures. The scripture says like this. Then we become a Gyani. Then we make mistakes. We want to act. I'm a Kshatriya. I want to act. Arjuna was a Kshatriya. You know that it is the duty to protect Dharma. But he was confused. And that is the whole essence of the Srimad Bhagavatam, to guide us to the understanding that ultimately, and that is why in the purport of the text number 34 of the verse we read today, Prabhupada emphasized very emphatically that when you go to that purport, Prabhupada said something very beautifully in that purport. Prabhupada was saying that the power, where's the verse? Text number 34. In the purport, Prabhupada said that yes, Prabhupada said, I'm looking at that word. It started by in the first paragraph. He said, Brahma is powerful by dint of his devotional service unto the Lord, and the Lord is always ready to forgive. It's the power of his devotion. And then the last sentence, it was never expected that a great personality like Brahma will ever think of sex indulgence with his daughter. The example shown by Lord Brahma suggests that the power of material nature is stronger and that it can act upon everyone. Even Brahma was saved, and that is what I want to say. Brahma said, even Brahma was saved by the mercy of the Lord with a little punishment, but by the grace of the Lord, he did not lose his prestige and Brahma. Because why? Lord Brahma is a bhakta. So we become a bhakta in action, in words. When we say that a devotee is a devotee, when we say Tridandi Goswami, why are they called Tridandi? They are called Tridandi because in their word, in their action, in their thinking, they are thinking only Krishna. And because they are thinking Krishna, Krishna comes true. And their activities become what? Like Prabhupada said in this purport, their prestige, their glories is never diminished. Because why? They are acting in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Since we have one hand up, Hamsadrita Prabhu, please, you may unmute.
Hare Krishna, Your Grace.
Hare Krishna.
Please can I accept my special obeisances? All glory to be with you, all grace to Sir Prabhupada, and all grace to you, no word to all glory to the wonderful.
I love this picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, Raj is in his best mood.
Yeah. I also love it. That's why I put it there. Thank you so much for stepping in, and always I'm inspired to listen to you, and I'm so grateful to be here today. Just for curiosity about what we are discussing, I have one question. When I was in Barcelona, sometimes I used to stay in the temple when I have some holidays, maybe a week or some days I stay in the temple. So I was a new devotee, I don't know much, but one thing I saw is that the devotees who are living in the temple, they don't come to Mangarati. They come, most of them come when the classes start. And I remember those who are giving classes was Mahajan, who was former president, and His Grace Dwelka and the wife, they live outside the temple. So, but they don't come to Mangarati, but when they have to give class, they come, and every day they come to the temple for breakfast. So I remember one day, one devotee who was, I heard he has done a very, very great service in the temple. He was giving class, and he do mention that those who are living in the temple, who don't come to Mangarati, then he think they have to live outside the temple, because the temple is not a hostel or hotel. So that thing he said, was it the right thing to say, or he was saying the right thing? Because recently I still have some friends and contact there. I realized that those who were living in the temple at that time, most of them are living outside, and there's certain things I'm seeing which is not so nice. Especially one devotee who was very good friend of mine. Sometimes he come with other devotees to pass time in my house for weekends. And what I realized is that always he was criticizing the temple president, always. But he's not living in the temple. But what I saw recently, the pictures he put in Facebook, half naked and so on and so on. And I was so worried about that. Not worried, but I was, why is he doing all this? So the question I want to ask, what he said was the right thing to say, or he shouldn't have said that? I'm not saying that that's the reason why they are, those who are left the temple left, but he said something like that because one Sanyasi, Harichakra Maharaj, was one who was cooking and was a kitchen assistant. Before we come to the temple, about 4, he is there chanting, and he will be there, and in the morning he will go I will go with him to the shopping, and he come and stand there and cook, and always he is there. And this Prabhu I'm saying, always he's there in the Mangarati. So I'm just curious, is it the right thing to say or not the right thing to say? Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Amsadita Prabhu. You ask a very detailed question. And just like we've been discussing on this topic, it will be difficult to say whether it's right or wrong. Why? According to standard, the temple is not meant to be a brothel or an hotel for people to come and stay and live and not.
Yes.
Proper instruction standard is that whoever stayed in this temple must attend Mangalati and Sandhya Arati. At least, even if he cannot attend due to other services, he must attend Mangalati, chant 16 rounds with the devotees in the association of devotees. That is the standard. But then we also know that sometimes some devotees will be engaged, probably publication. I remembered in those early days, during Mangalati, one of my senior brother, I was working with him. And I think that was the year he got my award from Mayapur for one of the best media preacher. We published almost about 20-something articles on the national public media news within 1 month. And we continuously do that for several months before we stop. So because of that service, sometimes because the best time to service of writing is the early hours of the morning, sometimes some devotees might have a situation like that. Another thing is that sometimes I was a cook in the temple for some time, and there was a time that for a period of a long time, I'm only listening to the Mangalati Kirtan. I cannot be there because I was cooking, and many devotees have also been in that situation like myself. So if those devotees are not in the temple because they are doing some other service to facilitate the smooth running of the temple, it's a different ballgame. I wouldn't know what is the situation. But if they are not engaging in any other activities that is enhancing devotional service, and they are just sleeping, not because they are sick, because another thing is that if a devotee is sick his body is sick and is not able to carry the body, genuinely we see that. And if he's not coming to Mangalati, and these are something that are circumstantial, it's not a permanent thing that somebody will consistently for months and will not come to Mangalati. Because Mangalati, I tell you, for a sick man, you need 3 things for him to get well. And we are all sick, we admit that. You need a good medicine doctor first that will give you a prescription. And that is why we have the Srila Prabhupada representing the acharyas and the scriptures and Lord Krishna by extension. You need the right medicine. The medicine is the programs Prabhupada has created, the Panchatratrika Vriddhi process of Mangalati, listening to Bhagavatam class, taking prasadam, are all the medications that we need to take. And if a person is sick and the doctor says you need 2 tablets in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, 2 in the evening, and he said, okay, I can like myself. Since the doctor says I should take 2 morning, 2 afternoon, 2 evening, I'll just take 6 tablets in the evening and then I'll be okay. He will eventually die because that is not the prescription of the doctor. So although he's taking 6 tablets, but he will eventually die because that is not the prescription of the doctor, but he's taking the medicine. So the medicine has to be applied according to the prescription of the, and the third thing is environment that we are in. And that environment is association of devotees. One can say, okay, I'm alone, I'm chanting. I tell you, recently, personal life experience, I was going through some challenges in my own personal devotional life. And I was trying so many things. I was struggling. I was asking so many senior God brothers who I can confide in. This is my challenge. I'm going through this challenge. And when I went around, I said, what should I do? I said, oh, I think I need to go back to the basics. I'm chanting my rounds. I know that. I'm following the 4 regulative principles. Yes, I know that. But what is lacking? I said, okay, I think I need higher association. I'm in the environment that is not. So I started something. I went online and Krishna guided me rightly. There is one Japa 16 round of Prabhupada that is online. Maybe some of you must have seen it. It's Prabhupada chanting 16 rounds. It's not just Prabhupada Japa. It's Prabhupada 16 rounds. It lasted for 1.7 minutes. And I downloaded that. So when I wanted to chant in the morning, because there are no other person, I'll play that. And I realized one thing. When I started doing that, you know what I realized, Prabhu? Before that, I started bringing the temple. My japa has reduced. My japa used to be, the most 16 round is between 1 hour, 20 minutes to 1 hour, 30 minutes. At a point in time, my japa was reducing to 1 hour, 1 hour, 15 minutes. And I was asking, what is happening? But I'm still chanting the 16 rounds. I'm asking, what is happening? And when I started taking this japa Prabhupada, I realized that my japa went back to almost even. Sometimes I will almost not finish the 16 when Prabhupada is finishing his own 16 rounds. Then I started using that to guide myself. So this is the process of devotional service. You need to take the right medication from the right doctor. You need to take the medicine, the right medicine in the appropriate prescription, and you need to be in the right environment for you to get freed from this disease of material entanglement. So this particular narration that you are giving, what those devotees said are standards. They are not saying anything wrong. But whether it is applicable to those people he's applying it to, I won't be able to tell because I didn't know the circumstances. But yes, not only in Barcelona, in West Africa, and many other places, we have seen that some devotees, they are in the temple. They're just like, sorry to use the word nuisance. They create a nuisance they are not doing, and they're not allowing other people to do. They discourage other people by their conduct of life. So this each and every situation needs to be looked upon based on how they happen. And most importantly, Srila Gurudev Bhakti Maharaj says that everyone in this material world is looking for love. The only thing that is absent in our life is love of God, is love. And the way we love people, sometimes even when somebody is wrong, when you express correction in a loving manner, it attracts the mind of that person out of his conditional situation and embrace it. Somebody will willingly drop his inimical attitude. He will drop his whimsical attitude just simply because of the way you approach that person. So what that person is saying is right. It's a standard of Srila Prabhupada. But whether it is right in that circumstances, I won't be able to tell because I don't know the details of what is going on there. But
Yeah.
yes.
So the one thing one thing I also realized is that, especially where the I would say it's the printing center, where it is, it's the around them is like paradise in hell. Because
That's a serious one.
all around there is it's like club, restaurants, and everything, and you can walk 24 hours a day. And most of the time, we will go outside and take a walk, and at the same time, people spend time watching a lot of series. Because I remember one devotee asked me for my password for Netflix, and I give it to them. So what made me find out is that when somebody is watching your Netflix, you cannot watch it unless you upgrade it. And most of the time, at the middle of the night, I want to watch something and say I cannot watch it. So when I went to the temple, I also saw that most of the I didn't know which my Netflix were they using, but I realized that they'll be watching some series in the library for a very long time. Yeah, no, in the middle of the night, when people are going to sleep. So what I did was that I just changed the password, and when they asked me again, I said, I don't want to use the Netflix again, but I was using it. So I was feeling bad that maybe I'm the cause, But they are very, very wonderful, loving devotees. Be honest, they are so amazing devotees. So for love, they have so much love. The way they treated me, I would say the love they showed me was so incredible and amazing. So this is what I can add to that. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Samsarita, for bringing up. We have Mother Sati Devi.
I'll share about Malgarati because there was one temple I stayed in America that had it's a farm community, and they have a lot of devotees there. And when I stayed there, I was very stubborn because my Gurudev was really big on Malgarati and told me to always go. But actually, I was asked by the temple president and the people in charge not to go to Malgarati because they said that there's just not enough devotees and people need to do service during that time. But I became so stubborn that I wouldn't listen to them. And then they made me Malgarati. I actually was, for 2 years, I was actually the one giving class, doing Tulsi Puja, doing Prabhupada Arti, and I was making garlands, and I was setting up the Pujari room to help the Pujari to like get everything ready for like every morning. I was singing Malgarati too, every day. And then, and so that temple, they just didn't have enough devotees. And then one thing I can say is just that over time, I remember just recently when I was staying in the Brooklyn temple for 6 months, I did go to Malgarati every day, but there were 1 or 2 days like a week I would sleep late because I just found because of my health I wasn't able to make it on time. So I was actually late for Malgarati every day, but I was there, and I just had services. I had a lot of Pujari services in the evening, and I had them also in the morning, like back to back. And so I had a hard time getting there on time. So I think it's different for different devotees. And now I'm not even living in the temple. And usually during the time that you would do Malgarati, I'm chanting japa, and I don't really wake up my deities till like 10 a.m. in the morning. So it's I think that you have to look at individual cases and individual temples and know what's going on before you can make any judgment. That's all I want to share.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Yeah, you're very right. Thank you for sharing that personal experience, Mother Sati. And so that's exactly what I was saying. All of these things has to be looked at based on individual circumstances, and then based on that. But the essence is that we should all look at whatever situation with the consciousness of the fact that we're trying to serve Krishna. And if Krishna is whom we want to please, Krishna will always guide us, like Prabhupada said, and the spiritual master will approve of what we do. But we cannot use one rule for general situation because in most cases, because I mean, this topic we're discussing, Lord Brahma was, whatever Lord Brahma did was wrong, and it is actually due for punishment. But the fact is that it's not a general rule. So circumstances in that situation we have to look at individual situations like that. Thank you for sharing, Mother Sat.
Hare Krishna. Devotees, we thank you all as always, and His Grace Salika Prabhu, we thank you so much for stepping in and doing such wonderful justice to the series of verses. And we're going to humbly request all the devotees to kindly unmute themselves, and we all chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra to express our appreciation to our revered speaker for today, His Grace Salika Prabhu. Jai. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare
Rama
Hare,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Rama Rama,
Pancha
Hare Hare.
Kalpa Tarabhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyavacha Patale Pavanabhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo
Namo Namaha.
Namo
Pati Vaishnava
Vaishnavabhyo
Vrinda
Namo
ki
Namaha. Jai.
What is His Grace Salika Prabhu ki Jai.
Yeah.
All glories to Hare Krishna Prabhupada ki
Jai, Jai, Jai.
Jai.